When it comes to selling on Amazon, there is always this misconception on how much people are actually making from it, if anything at all. Now, I'm sure you and I both have already seen those pre-roll YouTube ads where there is someone out in Dubai sitting in a Lamborghini showing you their phone, which just shows an astronomical sales figure on it. Maybe you probably even watched it just before you watched this video now. Anyways, what I have decided to do is actually share with you a proportion of my own personal sales on Amazon and actually break it down to the point where we cover the costs, the expenses, and then finally revealing how much net profit I actually come out with at the end of those £10,000 worth of sales. So if that is something that you are interested in or you appreciate, then make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and without further ado, I'm going to jump on the computer and let's get into some of my numbers. Alright, so this is my 10k in sales breakdown on Amazon. Now, this isn't £10,000 total sales from me. Obviously, I wouldn't be able to run my Amazon business on just that. This is just me taking a proportion of my sales from my selling analytics tool. I believe it was in October. I took about 3 weeks from my sales and it equaled £10,000. Now, the only two things that I do need to mention before we jump straight into the meat of things is, number one, I am not going to be including tax in this video simply because everybody pays different tax. People are watching this video from America, Europe, and the UK, of course, and everyone is different, so I'm not doing that in this video. And the other thing for my UK sellers is I am not including VAT in this as well, because some people pay VAT and some people don't. This is simply just the net sales of my products on Amazon. So without further ado, let's skip into the numbers. And the first screen that I want to talk about is just simply just the sales and the units that I sold to make those sales. Now, as you can see on the screen is we have £10,197.78 in sales. Obviously, because I'm using a date ranged thing here, I cannot just type in £10,000 in sales. I just had to get it as close as I possibly could, and this was the result of that. So £10,197 in sales. The average selling price for each item that I was selling, basically I took 699 units there that I sold, and I divided 10,000 by 699, and it worked out that the average item price I was selling at was £14.50, which was okay. I do want to try and raise that in the future to sell a lot more higher items, higher priced items. And as you can see, we have 11 refunds as well. So obviously that does have an effect on the total sales figure. And then the other thing that I wanted to mention here was, as you can see on the right hand side, we had 654 individual orders. However, we did sell 699 units. And what this basically means is I was selling multiples of one product on one order. So for example, I was selling a lot of chocolate at Christmas. Sometimes people would order 2 or 3 units instead of just the one. So that's the sales. We pretty much knew that already. Moving on to the next bit, which is one of the main expenses, and this is going to be the Amazon fees. Now, as you can see here, we paid £3,931.55 in Amazon fees. As you can see on the right hand side, this is the breakdown of all the fees. Just a couple to note, we've got our storage fees there in the middle. We've got some FBA per unit fulfillment fee. This is the main fee that you pay for Amazon to do the fulfillment for your products. And then you've got the referral fee, which is the second one as well, which are basically, I believe, is Amazon just giving you an extra charge for using their website and services and stuff like that. Another thing that we also have there is our inbound transportation fees. This is basically every time you send in a shipment, this is where you will get charged, and this is where it will show up on your selling analytics. Now, I do want to just touch on the total figure of these Amazon fees. Now, as you can see, it is almost £4,000 in Amazon fees that I paid out of the £10,000 in sales that I made. Now, whenever I speak to anybody somebody that has never sold on Amazon before, they cannot believe how much in fees you actually have to pay. And the best way that I like to kind of explain it to them is actually comparing it to a retail store. Now, let's say I wasn't selling on Amazon and I wanted to start a physical retail store in a city center prime location. Now, the first thing that I would have to do before I even opened up was I would need a premises. Now, I just checked the shop locations in the city center of Norwich, which I think is like kind of a nice city and moderately priced and stuff like that. And for a prime location shop, which isn't really that big either, it's going to cost you £2,300 per month to just rent the shop. You haven't got any of your stock in there, you haven't got staff in there, and that's just to have the premises. Now, what you also then have to do is you need to hire staff, you need to be able to run that store, you need business insurance, you have to pay electricity bills, and then what the main thing is, you actually have to get people to come to your shop. Amazon is the #1 visited retail store online in the absolute world. So when you compare the cost to open a retail store to the Amazon fees, it makes that number look a lot better. So I did put there on the left hand side, I personally believe it's a lot better value than owning a retail store, especially when you look at it how I just explained it. Anyway, moving on, the only final thing that I wanted to mention just there was that you do actually get money back from Amazon sometimes when they damage your product in the warehouse. And as you can see at the bottom there, we got £16.10 back from warehouse damage there as well. So they are the Amazon fees. This isn't the prices that I've actually paid for my products to sell. We'll be moving on to that in a second. The next thing that you have to pay for is expenses. Now, my typical main expenses are going to be boxes, tape and poly bags for shipping products into Amazon. And then we also have merchant fulfilled shipping, which I don't do too much, but I do now and then throughout the year. And then another thing that I spend quite a bit of money on is printer ink. And just as an estimate, throughout this period, it cost me about £80 in expenses. I think the boxes that I pay for are about £1.40 per box, and the main thing is really the printer ink that costs the most money. But I took a little bit of an estimate there. It's not going to be too much more or less, give or take, let's say £20. But they're the expenses. Moving on to the Amazon payout and promotions now. So after my sales, after my fees, Amazon paid me £5,961. Now, this is the money that has been paid back to me in my account. All of the fees have been taken off, storage fees, referral fees, my expenses. This has all been paid back into my account, and this is the money that I have. And I guess the really main thing that I need to subtract from this is my cost of goods. So moving on to my cost of goods, this cost me £3,829.89. Now, the one thing that I do want to mention here, as you can see on the left hand side, this is the cost of goods sold. So my selling analytics tool will only tell me the cost of the goods that I actually have sold on Amazon. Of course, I have spent more on products than just £3,829. I've also got more products in stock. These are just the ones that I've actually sold. So £3,829.89. The only other thing to mention that doesn't get included in here is cashback and credit card bonuses. Now, a lot of the orders that I do are placed online, and I will get cashback on a lot of those. Some of the sites that I use give me up to 10% cashback. I didn't get it on all of this figure, but let's say a rough figure, I probably earned around £500, maybe £400 cashback during that period. But don't take that as a exact figure. That's just me trying to come up with a number at the top of my head. But yeah, I just wanted to mention the cashback and credit bonuses then, because it is a massive benefit of selling on Amazon, especially if you're doing a lot of online arbitrage. But when you take the cost of goods sold plus the expenses plus the Amazon fees off my total sales figure, we will be left with my net profit, which is £2,071 in net profit. Now, the image on the right hand side shows it is £2,082. This is because I haven't taken the £80 off for my boxes and tape and stuff like that. So the total net profit was £2,071. Like I did mention at the start of this video, this does not include tax or VAT. And what is really good, and I think my face is in the way way, let me just move it just a second. Put me over here. What that actually produces is a 20% margin, which I think is actually quite good for a independently run business. Obviously, if I wanted to scale this business, I knew I would have to take a hit on the margin to grow my sales a little bit more, but that's absolutely fine. I understand that. And what I think is really cool is my ROI, which is 54%. Now, this is basically saying for every £10 that I spend, I'm getting £15.40 back, which if you look at it from a investment point of view, when the average index fund returns 8% every single year, this isn't bad over like a 3-week period. So I think they're really healthy margins and ROIs. All you have to do is go onto Google and search some of the biggest company in the world's margins, and they'll be like at 3 or 4% because they've scaled their business so much. And I understand that if I want to make more money, then I'll have to take a hit on the margin at some point as well. But they're just the main kind of key points. £2,000 from a £10,000 period of time in sales. I think that's pretty cool. I think that's pretty achievable. I have to mention that my business model is retail arbitrage, online arbitrage, and wholesale. This isn't from private label products. So if you're looking at this video thinking how much you can make from private label, it's maybe worth watching someone that specializes in just that. This is all from reselling products on Amazon. Now, the only other thing that I wanted to mention in this video today was a question of the day. And you don't have to answer this if you don't feel comfortable, but I would be interested to know what your ROI and margins are for your Amazon business if you are an Amazon seller. And if you aren't an Amazon seller, let me know if this video was kind of what you expected from £10,000 worth of sales. Did you expect me to make more money from it, or did you expect me to make less? Let me know in the comments section down below. But that's basically going to be the video today. I hope you enjoyed it. Leave a like if you did. Obviously, answer that question of the day down below if you feel like it, and I will see you guys in the next video. Take care.